And welcome back to this final episode on curiosity. And in this one, I want to give you just one more idea you can use in your classroom with your students to help promote their curiosity and help use it to increase their engagement and the quality of the work that they do in your class. And in this one, I want to talk to you about how you can model curiosity. And remember, our students are just naturally curious. They were born that way. But, it needs to be developed. It needs to be enhanced. It needs to have, yeah. Hi. And welcome back to this final episode on curiosity. And in this one, I want to give you just like one more idea that you could use in order to help promote curiosity in your classroom so that it can enhance your student work and improve their performance on what they do in your classroom. Because our students are naturally curious. You remember way back at the beginning of this series, I've talked to you about how they're just born that way, asking why all the time. But what can we do as educators in order to help promote curiosity in our classroom and that natural curiosity that they have? Well, one of the things that we can do is model curiosity, because we all know how important modeling is for our students. I mean, just think about it. Any time in which you have gone up to a student or another person and said, here, do it this way, or here, watch me. You have shown that modeling is a powerful way for people to learn something. I mean, it's why I spend so much time on YouTube when I'm trying to learn something, because I want to see how someone else did it. So modeling is an important way to do it, and we want to do that with curiosity. And that's why in the technology plan, we actually ask teachers to model curiosity for their students. Now, you may be thinking, but curiosity is not like math or science, where I can just get up on front of everybody and just kind of show them what to do. I mean, curiosity is this kind of like invisible thing. So how do I go about modeling curiosity for my students? All right, so that's what I want to do. I want to give you 3 things that you can do to help model curiosity for your students. The first thing is this: what questions do you have about the topic, about what's being studied, about the subject, about maybe the book that you're reading? What are the questions that you have about it? And how are you sharing those questions with your students? Okay? Because, questions are the natural byproduct of it, as I've talked about before. So what are you doing in order to get your own questions out to your students? For example, when I would read a book out loud to my students at times, and I wouldn't read ahead because I wanted to have those same questions that they were having as they were listening to me read. And so I didn't want to know what happened, but I would raise those questions up out loud to them and ask them, well, what do you think is going to happen? And why do you think the character did this in the book? And so what questions do you have as you're going through the process of learning about the subject or the topic that you're doing? And then put those out there for your class to see the questions that you have and maybe the things that you're struggling with. Okay? Here's the other thing is curiosity is going to want us to try things out. And as we all know, that when we try things, sometimes we hit, most of the time we miss. All right. But we've got to be willing to try out things. And it makes us a little vulnerable to do that with our students and to talk about that process of trying things out, because we're asking you to kind of like take a risk here. You're curious about if this would work this way, or curious about if this would happen. And so try it out and tell your students how it worked for you. And what that's going to do is it's going to encourage them and empower them to try things themselves, to take some risks themselves, because that's what we want our students doing, because it's through those risk-taking times that we learn a great deal of information about a topic and about ourselves. So try things out, take some risks with your students, okay? And then the last thing is, in order to do that, we've got to keep searching and show our students that, you know what, I had a question and I wasn't able to find it on the first website that I went to. I had to search for a long time, sometimes for days in order to find the answer to this question I have or the solution to the problem. Maybe you can talk about some of those experiences that you've had with your students of how you've spent maybe months looking for the answer to a problem that you had. And so that they can see that that's part of the process of curiosity is that there's the questions and there's the trying things out. And then there's you keep going. And that's why we want our teachers to show perseverance. Show perseverance to your students to show them that that's part of the process and it's part of developing and it's part of curiosity. So modeling all of that for your students is a powerful way to get them to do that themselves when they're curious about something. So consider this. What is there about the subject or topic that you are teaching right now that you are curious about? And how could you use that curiosity during your lesson? All right. So take a chance and share with your students your own questions and your own struggle with finding the answers and the solutions. Okay. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this series. And if you learned something from it, if there's something that you were able to do in your classroom that changed it, think about clicking that button to ask for the badge and tell us about what it is that you learned from this series that you were able to use in your classroom. All right. Thank you so much for joining me on this series. And I hope it's made you more curious, and I hope it increases the curiosity that your students have. All right. Bye now.